In the heart of Africa, where the cradle of humanity still stands, life unfolded 4.7 million years ago. Our planet was an entirely different realm, a world vastly different from the one we inhabit today. Lush tropical forests blanketed the landscape, punctuated by the occasional clearing or grassland. Towering giraffes roamed freely, sharing the land with early primates, including some of our earliest ancestors. The air buzzed with insects, the ground trembled with herds of migrating animals, and the skies echoed with the calls of birds. But amidst this vibrant ecosystem, there existed a quieter drama, a struggle for survival that was just beginning. This was a time before the dominance of man, before cities and technologies shaped the earth. Nature was the sole architect of this world, writing its laws on the very soil and sky. Yet within this natural order, a small band of early hominins began to stir. Hominids were not your typical forest dwellers. Their lineage traced back to the split between the great apes and humans. They were neither the nimble primates nor the hulking gorillas of the forest canopy. Instead, they inhabited the ground beneath, awkwardly walking upright on two legs. Though not yet fully human, they were the precursors to our species, carrying within them the seeds of what would become Homo sapiens. Our story focuses on a group of about 8 individuals, each striving to survive in a world that offered both bounty and peril. Leading this small tribe was a male whom others respected not because of any title, but because of his strength and resourcefulness. The males of this time rarely held formal leadership positions. Instead, they earned respect through their actions, proving themselves capable hunters, or through their ability to solve problems that threatened the group's survival. This leader, Kor, was known simply as Kor, a name given at birth that spoke of his place in the clan rather than any special rank. He was a man of the earth, understanding the rhythms of the forest, the habits of its creatures, and the healing properties of its plants. His band consisted of 7 others, a mix of adult females, juveniles, and an elder male. Life for them was not idyllic. Scarcity and danger lurked around every bend. The forest, for all its beauty and abundance, was also unforgiving. With no protective shelter and few weapons beyond sharp stones and sticks, they were constantly on guard against predators. The leopards with their lithe bodies and razor-sharp claws, the packs of wild dogs with their stamina and ferocity, and the towering gorilla with its brute strength and imposing presence. And as if these dangers weren't enough, there were the hyenas. Creatures feared even by their fellow predators, whose haunting laughter echoed through the night, signaling their arrival. Their days were spent in gathering berries, nuts, and roots, and when possible, hunting small animals. Hunting, however, was a risky affair. Without the weaponry of later humans, they were outmatched by most larger animals. So they relied on stealth and strategy, often working together to outsmart their quarry. The females played a crucial role in this, not just as gatherers, but as the providers of intelligence. In this primitive society, the females often had a deeper connection with the forest, understanding the subtle signs of nature better than the males. They noticed which plants yielded the sweetest fruits, which herbs could soothe burns, and which trails animals frequented. The eldest male in the group, though no longer able to hunt, was a storehouse of knowledge. His failing eyesight and slower gait were compensated by his sharp memory and understanding of the forest. His insights, often overlooked by the younger, stronger males, proved invaluable when food was scarce or a predator's presence was detected. He remembered migration patterns of herds, seasons when particular plants would bear fruit, and even the habits of the creatures that haunted their dreams at night. Food, water, and safety. These were the pillars on which their lives turned. Each day was a gamble, a game of cat and mouse with the forces of nature. Water was often scarce, forcing them to journey long distances to watering holes, exposing them to the risk of being seen by predators or worse, rival clans. The discovery of edible plants, fruits, and roots was a godsend, offering sustenance without the need to confront dangerous animals. Yet gathering was a slow and uncertain process, providing only so much sustenance for the hungry mouths of the clan. The challenge of feeding the clan led to conflict, not necessarily violent fights, but a constant negotiation of roles and resources. As the dominant male, Kor shouldered a heavy burden. He was expected to lead hunts, protect the group, and make decisions that affected their well-being. But he was not a despot. In their egalitarian society, respect was earned, not demanded. His decisions were not commands, but suggestions, often made after discussions with the other members of the clan, especially the older females, whose experience gave them an edge in understanding the needs of the group. But it wasn't just the physical challenges they faced. Fear was another constant companion. The rustle of leaves could mean a predator or a potential meal. Snapping twig could signal the approach of a rival clan. And the dark of night was filled with sounds that could send shivers down their spines. The nocturnal chorus of crickets and the eerie calls of nocturnal predators. Fear drove them together, forging bonds of camaraderie and protection. To survive, they needed each other. Being part of the clan meant not just sharing resources, but also sharing risks. If one person spotted a predator, all could react and escape. If one person knew a shortcut, all could benefit. And when night fell and the shadows grew long, they found comfort in numbers. Huddled together around a small fire, if there was one, telling stories, sharing food, and watching over each other as the night wore on. Theirs was a life of quiet desperation, a constant struggle against the elements and the creatures that shared their world. But amidst this harsh reality, there were moments of wonder. The birth of a child was cause for celebration, a promise of the continuation of their kind. The first clumsy steps, the first uttered words, all were cherished milestones in a world where each day was not guaranteed. Similarly, the death of an elder was mourned, not with elaborate rituals, but with quiet solemnity. The body was laid to rest, not in a grave, but in a shallow pit. A final act of respect in a world where life and death were starkly intertwined. And then there were the stars. At night, when the forest was alive with unseen dangers, they would look up at the vast expanse above. The Milky Way, a river of stars, seemed to pour across the sky. Other constellations twinkled like scattered diamonds. They didn't understand the celestial mechanics, but they felt a kinship with those distant suns. Perhaps there were others like them out there, staring back, wondering about the strange creatures on that blue and green ball suspended in the vast darkness. They were not a religious people, but they had a sense of awe for the forces that shaped their world. Storms, floods, and droughts were not just natural phenomena, they were expressions of some greater will. Their survival depended on these forces, and so they respected them. They told stories of creation, of how the world came to be, and of their own history. Tales passed down from one generation to the next, keeping their memories and traditions alive. They lived in a world without permanence. No village was theirs to call home. No walls protected them from the elements or potential enemies. Yet they survived. They adapted to the changing seasons, learning to predict floods, droughts, and migrations of herds. They coped with the loss of loved ones, the pain of injury, and the constant threat of death. They persevered. Their story is not one of grand empires or monumental achievements. It's a story of resilience, of adapting to the harshest of environments, of enduring when the odds were stacked against them. They are the unsung heroes of our evolutionary tale, the quiet survivors of a forgotten world. And their legacy is not just in the genes they passed on, but in the indomitable spirit of humanity they embodied.